Awesome. Welcome to the Helm Dev meeting, everyone. May 22nd, 2025. As always, we follow the CNCF Code of Conduct, and we are recording. Everything you say will be on the internet forever, so keep that in mind. Okay, so I'll go ahead and paste the link for everyone following along later. Here's our meeting notes. We don't have any announcements listed. But I guess the first point of discussion relates to what I might have said. So that's for you, Matt. It looks like you're on. Are you able to?
Yes. So
Okay.
we released 3.18.0 and it has 3 to 4 regressions. And so we need to get things fixed up and get a regression fix release out as soon as possible. So it looks like 3.18.1 will not go out as planned because we will cut it. I'm hoping early next week, as long as we can get good fixes in and things well tested. We need to get on this very, very quickly in response because people are bringing it up and they're running into problems. So far, I've collected, I think, 4 things here. I'd like to walk through each of them just so we can talk status, what's going on, so we're all on the same page. First one, there was a change to do to TOML so that it works with is number and does number handling and just the JSON. The parsing of YAML and all of this does numbers a little differently. And this turned out to have some massive problems because people were taking the numbers and using things like type is and stuff like that on them, and it's now breaking charts. So what we've proceeded on, and people let me know if there's another way we should go on this, is we've reverted the changes, both in Helm 3 and Helm 4, and then this change needs to be folded into the next version of charts, not this version of charts, because it's shown just to have wide breaking changes. People have started to pile on this one. Any issues with that path? Nope, sounds good. Okay. The pull requests have already been merged on this one to fold it into dev v3 and main, and I'll get the issue filed for the next version of chart so we can fold the fix in over there. This one is already in good shape and is handled. We can roll this one into a release like that. The next one, and maybe I'll jump one here, is there's the OCI registry login error one. How's that going?
Yes. So the po we had some discussion about this. I think while some people might have been doing other things because the discussion took a little bit in the Helm maintainers channel. There's a pull request that fixes it. It does have a here's the issue. The PR that caused this also like simultaneously marked certain fields on plugin.yaml deprecated and accident and I and through an error if they were used, which should not happen. Generally, if we mark a field deprecated, it should have a period of deprecation before we tell people that needs to change. And also that shouldn't happen in Helm 3. We have a strong backwards compatibility concept.
Small technical point. It only throws an error of both the old field and the new field are used simultaneously.
Correct.
So it didn't like just force an error if if the old field was there. Um,
Good point. Good point, George. Yeah, but some plugins inappropriately, even though it's inappropriate, already do it. And so, and there's an example of a relatively popular plugin that threw an error when you try to add it. So we have a pull request that removes that error in favor of a warning. And the question is, should we even warn people about this, or should we just I yeah, so that was the question. I don't want
Let
to take
me,
a with it, but
yeah, let
that's
me
the
ask a quick question here. So,
yeah.
so we got down this path, which was, I think, the fourth one that I had on the list here. So with the plugins, um, right now, if I understand it right, there's the platform command. If that's there, it ignores the command and it uses the platform command. And if that's not there, it uses command. Is that the current behavior?
Yes.
yes.
And that was the
So
behavior that was first introduced. as well.
That was the behavior when it was introduced?
When the platform variants
Yeah.
of command and hooks were
So
introduced. Yes.
yes. So there's two parts to this. First, the handling in Helm v3. We probably, I mean, it was never a warning. It was just behavior of how it worked, and it needs to just make sure it's properly documented that this is what's happening. For Helm v4, then it becomes how do we want to carry this forward? Like in Helm v3, we didn't have a warning before. We shouldn't introduce a warning to behavior that is consistent. Um, we shouldn't be, that's a breaking change, or we're warning people about a behavior that was known functional behavior before. What changed? And then we also have to look at with Helm version 4 and carrying people forward, do we want to just document this behavior or do we want to make a change? And then what's the impact to plugin authors who are then creating plugins across two versions of Helm and then the ecosystem? It becomes kind of a bigger question because, as you saw, we had issues coming up and we're triaging them. Where do we want to go in the amount of work we want to do around this with end users, and what kind of messaging do we actually want to have? And what outcome do we want for them?
But one bit of context is when I reviewed, I basically I screwed up. I for some reason thought platform command was new because the PR was introducing platform hooks. Introducing a new field meant that there would be no plugins out there which had platform command or hooks, which is false. But that's what I thought was changing. So to introduce the new field which supersedes the old field, this is where it makes sense to have a warning or an error. But this is already the existing behavior, so I think it is reasonable to either take away the warning. To me, if you have platform commands, then it makes no sense to have commands, and same with hooks because that's where the warning would come in. The downside is that the consumer of the plugin sees the warning, not the author. So that's the big disconnect. Practically, the author would probably see the warning when they're developing the plugin, I assume as well. And then they could take action. Ideally, this would be a lint, but we don't have linting for plugins.
Yeah.
Should this be a debug message?
Debug would also work. We don't really have debug messages at this level,
Yeah, we
maybe.
do. Helm
Okay.
3 and 4 have debug messages.
That's a good idea, Matt.
Slug.
And I would totally be in favor of that. Just to cut to the chase, I think we are designing a new plugin system. The HIP is largely toward approval. I mean, it needs just final approval, but the while technically it doesn't really make sense to have both of them, I would almost honestly just say the idea is that we would support the legacy plugin system throughout the life of Helm 4 anyway, and I would probably prefer not to nitpick it and just have a debug message to let them know and just let those existing plugins work as they were because it's such a minor improvement. It would be better, in my opinion, to like have people focus toward understanding the new system that's coming. But that's just my 2 cents.
I like that approach. We'll give a debug message. If people are building plugins, it'd be great to have a linter at some point. We should probably do that at some point. But okay. But let's get back to the login one. So we have a pull request up to solve login and bring it in line with what was there previously.
Yes. And in that case, I'll update the PR to change that warning to a debug message, and then it should be good to go.
Okay.
There's another one I think that Terry linked to. Terry, is that stripping off the path?
The repository, I think, or V1 was just ignoring the repository. And so that's what that does. Similar kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the link I added to our doc already. That George had sent me the link that earlier, basically Moby was silently ignoring the Matt, this is like if you've got the URL as you pointed out, right? It can have the socket in there, or excuse me, the port and so on. It should not have a scheme and it should not have the repo path. Moby silently ignored both of those things, although it should not have. ORS v2 does not. So I think this other PR I haven't tested it yet, but I think strips off, Terry, is that right? It strips off the rest of that path?
Yep.
Okay.
Once we get into that registries comp thing, you might want to rethink this.
Yeah, but we just need to fix 318 at this point. We need to get 318 fixed out. This is a triage problem. We can rethink things in Helm v4 with the registry stuff.
So minor note from myself. We have to be a little careful with this PR because ORAS also allows a path in the repository, which makes no sense because it just gets discarded. So if we do the wrong type of stripping or splitting on slashes and stuff, then we end up probably doing the wrong thing again. So I did propose to Scott's PR, and I see Terry made one as well, that we use we just look for the scheme prefix and we trim that prefix. We do need to consider paths. Paths would, if someone is trying to log in with a path that has a similar issue. This is probably a less common situation because it never did anything, but at least one guy had this in the issue tracker. So I'm not sure if we want to target this. If we do try to target paths, and we have to go into the whole URL passing thing, and it might be complicated. So I propose we strip the prefix carefully, and tell people who have paths that they might have to change, but we could just consider that. Does that make sense? I was trying to compress
So
my.
in the past, what happened when there were paths? Did
It
it give
ignored
an
them.
error?
No, ignored them.
It
There
ignored
was
the
no-
paths?
Yep.
It just truncates them off. So when you look in your config JSON or whatever, just not there.
So that's probably something we should cleanly handle because otherwise it's a backward breaking change.
Yep.
That's something I think we should handle because otherwise, if we now stop working with paths, you're going to find some people are doing it. A lot of people haven't upgraded to 318 yet. They're going to start to experience problems. We'll get more issues on it. We should, get the handling to work the way it did before without making breaking changes.
That sounds right. And then in Helm 4, we can just clearly, since we are allowed to make breaking changes, we can say do it correctly, and we just document the correct way to do it because we'll have upgrade paths to everything, right?
Yeah, we can work this out in Helm 4. We should probably have a change to Helm 4 to make it in line with Helm 3 and then create an issue to go change whatever the behavior is. So at least we fix Helm 4 at the same time so people aren't broken today playing with it. Because otherwise people playing with Helm 4 today and Canaries, especially when we start going out, if we don't record how we're going to handle this and communicate it, then we'll end up forgetting about it, dropping it. And then people, when they start picking up the alphas and stuff, are going to start running into these problems that we've already dealt with. So we might as well deal with them now as well.
So to be clear, you mean like accept the incorrect way in Helm 4, but just make an issue to fix it before the first release, the first public release, the 1.0?
Well, let me ask this. How do other tools like Docker work if you put a path in?
Docker doesn't like the Docker CLI will not accept those paths. It actually has notes in its documentation saying that those prefixes and so on don't work.
They cause
They
an
do not.
error or
I believe so, yes.
okay. Maybe what we need to do is go out there and just attack the UX on this and look at what other tools do and then document clearly the changes we're going to make here and why. We just need to make Helm 3 work appropriately and then make sure Helm 4 has some, clear direction on this.
One other thought that comes to mind here is at some point for Helm 4, we're probably going to have to go look through all the PRs that we made to Helm 4 and like make release notes.
Oh, absolutely.
So if we diverge Helm 3 branch and Helm 4 branch, then it's going to be very hard to create those release notes.
It is. And we're also, we're going to have to create a migration guide. There was a Helm 2 to 3 guide. We're going to have to create a 3 to 4 guide and start capturing those things in a migration guide. And so this will be part of it. But yeah, this is UX cleanup stuff that we should get to. But let's get Helm 318. We've got a path. We should handle the path situation the same way we did before. So Scott, this is your pull request?
Yes, I'll do the update to, well, one of them is, the other one I think is Terry's. I'll do the stripping of the end, the prefix off. I'll change that to a excuse me.
Trim prefix.
Hey,
I
Scott,
will
just
remove
wanna
the
point
warning.
out We're halfway through the meeting with a
Yeah,
live
we need to get moving on here. So do you've got the actions to
I'll follow up
go
on
chase
this,
down?
and I'll follow up with Terry. So
Sounds good.
Perfect. We're not even
What-
through all the regressions yet.
Correct.
So,
Okay. Yeah, so what other regressions did we want to?
so let's go on to the next one. Helm push is erroring. Is that related to the login or is that something else?
I'm not
I
sure
was
what
not
that
able to
one is.
reproduce. I was not able to reproduce the problem.
Okay.
Has anyone else been able to?
So I Bennett, I think I'm pronouncing the Benoit. Sorry.
Yes,
that
no worries.
I think you found a problem where the plus signs are not being handled correctly in the internals.
Yeah. We do a conversion and we try to store it in the memory store, but we store it in without the plus sign replaced. So it's not possible to get it in the memory store. So we just have to make the conversion just before putting into the memory store. The
So,
patch is quite simple. It's not the I try to add some tests. It's not the easiest to write on this part. So, but it's working, and I was able to reproduce the issue of the user.
yeah, I have that as the last one on the list. I just dropped a link into the pull request 3894. That's open for this. So yes, this is another one we need to review.
Okay, so we'll follow up on these in the Helm dev Slack
Yeah.
Kubernetes Slack channel.
So yeah, this one here just needs a review and to see it. In fact, I will sign up to review it in the next day. Before this week is over, I can sign up to review this.
yeah, I'll do that today as well.
Okay.
I'd stayed up pretty late the night before Blast
Okay.
doing this other
Uh,
stuff, and I'll just keep on this until we get the tag out.
Okay. Then there is the push error. And so for this one,
I think the push error is the same as the plus versus. Is that
Is it?
true with my?
all right, I'll go take a look at this one here and see, because you all are working on the other one. I can come take a look at this one and see. Yes, it's got the version there. I'll go verify this one if it's the same thing. I'll take that
Great.
on. Do it the next day.
Right. And the only note about this is that I think we've all acknowledged, but we should just acknowledge publicly that our testing setup currently doesn't have a good way of us testing different types of URLs for repos because we do it using a local Docker registry, a local registry setup. So it would be not maybe I'm not really sure what to do about that, but probably
Well, yeah, one of the things that ultimately creates a problem with this is you've got a number of registries out there built in different ways to specs, and sometimes that even creates problems. So it does involve sometimes a little bit of manual testing. We should probably watch what we backport to 3 now, because, it's supposed to be just mostly in bug fix mode, and, it's got an end of life on it. So we should watch what we do, because this is taking a lot of cycles away from Helm version 4 to fix this. And, just as a general thing, it's a relatively stable thing. Let's get it back into stable shape, and then just be judicious about what we backport here. So that way we minimize the work and can focus on 4.
okay.
And
I think thank you,
with
Matt.
that, I'll cede the floor back so we can get on to the next one.
Great. Okay, Carlos, you are up.
Not sure if there is much I can say. I saw the last comment there about the format. I knew that could be a sticking point. I'll try to find a fix for it. But any other information I can get on the PR, I'll try to accommodate to fix and bring it to a state where it can be acceptable. I just need some feedback on it and I can adjust. That's related to the bug of post rendering not receiving hooks. So
We probably don't have much time to spend on this one, but very quickly, I think we should just focus on the PR allowing post render to process hooks. Once we go into this, get sidetracked by changing the post render input format, it's a whole can of worms.
yeah, I get it. The reason over the change is that it's not easy to just do the hooks. At least like maybe it would be simple for you if you have a quick path. I'm just based on my familiarity, the files are split and you have the file names, and then once they get sorted, then like if the post render runs at the last step, you can't include new new hooks on it. So it needs to be done earlier. So the easiest way I found was like, now that I have all the file names and the contents, I give it to the post render and I get back and then I split everything. I get the point about it being a change of format for the post render. So I'll spend some time on it, and if I have any questions, I'll bring it up.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to keep an eye on the PR. If feel free to ping me on Slack if you update it, and then I'll know
All right.
too.
Will do. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Ingy, you're next.
I am not.
Oh, my bad. I skipped Paige. Thank you. Paige, you're next.
Oh, good. I'll keep this very quick. This is just an update on that docs improvement HIP that was recently merged. I put together a Google Doc that I'm thinking we can use to just be transparent and track progress on evaluating a new static site generator. In that Google Doc, there is a list of what I understand to be the requirements for a new static site generator. I have linked to it in the Helm Dev Slack channel. If it is of interest to you, please take a look and let me know if you have any feedback on those requirements. If all looks good, I'll move to the next step of writing up some more detailed evaluation criteria so we can get some rankings. But yeah, that's it.
Awesome. I just copied that from Helm Dev Slack and dropped into the doc.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Ingy.
Scott, could you also drop it in the chat here just so
Sure.
people can see it? Thanks. Great. Yeah, so I've been doing a little bit of doc stuff in the backside with Paige, kind of riffing back and forth. And one thing I did was I did a couple big things. So I made a copy of the entire Helm SH site and put it under the link is in the agenda notes there. You can copy it in if you want, Scott. So I just got a new domain, w-2.cc is the shortest domain I could find that you can put any site that I host in front of that, and then it will serve a copy of that, and then I can make changes to show how they might look in the future was kind of the idea behind that. One of the cool things I did was played around with AI, and it's like, if you actually look at the translations of docs, there's like, you know, I don't know, 50 English docs and like, you know, 3 or 10 or 7 in all the other languages. They're very incomplete. So I tried doing a translation with AI, and I immediately took one of the pages and translated it back to English, and it was actually amazing. It was like the exact same content, maybe a little bit better written, you know, because it was, you know, generalized by AI, but it actually got the same content. You know, I don't speak Spanish, but actually Paige does speak Spanish, so she's going to review some of those just to make sure that they are good. But I can't imagine how well it was done, but the Spanish is wrong. And then I reached out to Paige and I have both reached out to Nate from the CNCF about just ideas with Doc. He runs the Docs program at the CNCF, so he's pretty in favor of this. So yeah, I'm going to try to get everything translated and up under that new domain, and you guys can see how it looks and whatnot. And it doesn't really matter what framework we use for that.
Ingy, real quick, are you saying that that link is a make docs version of the site, or is it just a port over right now?
Right now it's a port over. I do have another link that I'll drop in after I'm done. That is a make docs version of the English. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to send it. I'll send it next week. I'll show you guys.
That sounds great.
So,
And
so it's nice and
pointing
polished.
out Matt's note to the tech docs repo.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had said I would drop these links in before, and I totally failed. I just dropped in a couple of links here. One is to the CNC Text Docs repo, which is a resource for people who need to create tech docs for their projects. The CNCF has also done work around Doxy, which is a Google project. They have a fork, they've contributed to it. And this is one of those things when they look at Markdown and tools for this that they put forward. This is a couple of links from them that kind of provide guidance and direction.
Cool. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Matt. Yes, someone doesn't mind dropping that into the notes doc. Okay, awesome. Yeah,
And
looking forward to that.
So on to the next thing. It's a matter of time, so we can get to Jesse. Yeah, so I've been working on something I call CGO embed, which is a combination of CGO and Go embed for building and distributing shared libraries in Go using CGO, with minimal effort, like just adding 1 or 2 lines or environment variables to a build system. And I'm going to test around playing that with Helm. Now, I strongly believe that WASM time. I've been working in WASM with Fermyon and in the background with Microsoft a bunch on stuff, and I really feel like WASM time would be the best engine to be inside of Helm, and I want to solve it so that it's not even problematic at all. So that's where I'm headed. I hope to have a demo within a week. So I'll just leave it at that. And also, I know, Scott, you and George have been mostly working on the WASM plugins system, but if you guys could include me in those calls and discussions, I'd really appreciate it, because I think I could have a lot to offer there.
Yeah, let's have a convo about it and catch up with like all the detailed investigation
Ins
we've
and
done with
outs, yep.
Mapper.
Yeah, you bet. Turn it over.
Thanks.
Okay, so for my topic, I wanted to bring up this cleaner stack traces PR. Now, this is a Helm v4 PR, so it's not as intense as the regressions talking, but and if you guys want, we can move this discussion over to next week. I don't mind that, but it'll only take a couple minutes if you are cool with it.
Well, why don't you do both? Get as far as you can today.
Okay.
Finish next week.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe 1 minute to summarize for now before we.
Yeah, sure. So
Do an-
the summary. I'm sorry.
Before we do assignments, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So so this PR it takes these 1-line long error messages and converts them into a structured format. And if there's any part in the error frame that is not processed by my regexes, it will return whatever the old error message would be. There's one scenario where if you have a template that divides by 0, it will return this unformatted error string. I've been investigating it, and so far it seems like it's just limited to this one error case. And when I try to introduce a patch to format it, I'm worried that that'll introduce more errors later. So my thought process is I think we should leave the behavior as it is now to prevent any more risks later. But, reach out to me if you disagree.
Cool, great. Yeah, thanks for bringing this up again. Okay, yeah, continue on the CNCF Slack where we have been. Looking forward to that one. Okay, so George has some shout outs. Can you do that in a minute?
I can. It's a quick, but I think it's important. I think we've had Boynoit, which I'm sorry, probably still mispronouncing. Jesse and Matthew Moore, I don't think's on the call, but there's been some prolific PRs and contributions coming through. So thank you very much. Much appreciated. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Totally, 100%. Okay, who wants to moderate next week?
Gotcha.
Robert?
Yep.
And notes? I can take them.
Thanks, Scott.
Issue triage?
I'll be on issue and triage, or issue and PRs. So.
I'll also be on PR review. Anyone else? Okay, and then coordinators who can be present besides me and Robert. Anyone else?
I can.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great. It's top of the hour. Thanks a bunch, and we'll see you on Slack and see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.